truth itself helps you control the mind or the practice with pure truth. Because what pure truth does, it washes away the inaccuracies of some other narrative. It washes away just the falsehood, just the general falsehoods of how things could be circulating within narratives. Our own projection upon something else, that's our own projection. We're participating within this matrix, surface level matrix. However we got to participate with it is ultimately low-key. We forgot it's on us. So the best thing to do energetically is simply just to take on the practice of extreme responsibility and accountability. Easier said than done, of course, because we're depending upon our, like, quote unquote parents, end quote. I say quote unquote because it's like, you know, the society itself is something of a parent. You know, I'm not saying directly like any leader figure or any teacher, there's something of a metaphorical parent, right? So within that metaphorical parent, that's kind of like, you know, the energetic first gatekeeper, you know? And if that energetic first gatekeeper, if there's like a problem there, because the gatekeepers, it's not just like meta literal, you know? It's also meta literal, meaning just like gatekeepers in the matrix. It's not just the matrix, it's like there's like a low-key kind of like a genetics aspect going on, like a spiritual genetics aspect. And I'm just doing this for the broader truth. I'm having a relationship with the broader truth. I can see where people are coming from, and everyone has their own particular relationship with pure truth or not, or distance away from that, because people could project something onto you that is just their subjective perception through their filtrations. Like, oh, we think he's gonna say this, we think he's gonna do that, we think he's gonna react to this. Because what people are really looking at is how you're gonna react and how you take care of yourself, how you handle yourself in situations. That's what people are looking at. And I have no shame or embarrassment, or I don't have any of those aloof feelings with me having the relationship with the pure truth. This is just the surface level dynamic of society reality, meaning this is just on a sociographic level, sociological dynamics. People are just looking how you're like kind of like, you know, taking care of yourself, and the pre-aforementioned as well. Obviously rewind the video, and this is just like, you know, one moment of many moments, but like I know where other people could be at, you know, but just because you think, you know, on a standard level, how the human thinks it can know it all, it doesn't necessarily know it all, even though it has that like mood where it thinks it knows it all. That's kind of like a false mood. So within that false mood, it's up to us so we're taking like extreme responsibility to have a relationship with the pure truth, because it's ultimately up to us why we're in the matrix, you know. It's ultimately like we're in the surface level matrix, and what's quote unquote kind of like gauging us, end quote, is, you know, just the quote unquote mechanics, end quote, of quote unquote life, end quote. And the quote unquote mechanics of life, end quote, that's what we're moving through and with. And somewhere you could say you followed up on this query of spiritual life for you to be here right now. So the challenge of life is like just to see, like, you know, other people projecting onto you. Like, what is he gonna do? What is he gonna say? That's like that's just their, you know, micro kind of filter. So it's like people are looking how you're taking care of yourself. So as they're looking how you're taking care of yourself, some people, for some odd reason, they have a particular unique uncomfortability with pure truth. This is things as they are, you know? And if you're not acclimated to things as they are, for some odd reason, the human will have, you know, just a casual discomfort, right? Because their body's not attuned to, like, you know, I guess, you know, the pure light mechanics or whatever, as opposed to like pure, you know, confusion mechanics, meaning, and pure confusion mechanics, i.e. equivalent to some type of some type of shade of quote unquote distortion, end quote. That's the thing that's trying to be solved. The quote unquote essence of healing, end quote, is to be kind of like resilient and impervious, there's a different word I'm looking for, to something that is like just detrimental chaos. So this is having a relationship with pure truth, you know, and seeing like where other people are coming from, you know. So within this relationship with pure truth, we could eventually kind of contemplate like how we got to where we're at. And as we got to where we're at, however we did the travel and the journey to like wherever we were before, because obviously this is an undoubtable truth. To travel from point A to point Z, like you had to, like, there had to be some sort of decision for you to make the journey. So ultimately we did come from somewhere to be in this now. So, but we kind of forgot how we started the journey. So since we forgot how we started the journey, we're kind of like, and as we forgot, like different types of forgetting, we sometimes we could tend to have like some type of projection, some type of blame, some type of judgment being cast, which is not necessarily like, that's not the real truth. That's a unique type of illusion. That's a unique type of falsehood. Because if you ultimately made the journey to be here in the surface level matrix and it has different unique mechanics, that's your responsibility. And if you're not taking responsibility and you're blaming someone else, judging someone else, projecting upon someone else, you're outlushing your own energy and resonating with like quote unquote psychological, esoteric psychological detrimental energies and forces, which are going away from the pure truth and not leading you to the pure truth, which ultimately the pure truth, and as you're going towards the pure truth, that's a relationship to have, you know, real esoteric hygiene, you know, esoteric hygiene of the mind, esoteric hygiene of the emotions, and eventually, you know, hopefully the physical body, your new vessel and inhabitant, could catch up to that pure truth. Because you know the original gods, they know what's going on, you know, they low-key literally know everything. But it's up to us and how how we're not taking our own extreme responsibility, esoteric accountability. Then we're not seeing how we are reaping what we're sowing. We don't have to like choose the victim route, because ultimately we forgot the cause to the effect of what we are in this collective contribution of things, the collective contribution, positive and negative, the collective contribution of like, you know, so much good has came from the collective collaborations, and so much, you know, quote unquote different types of chaos, end quote, have came from this different types of collective collaborations. So everybody has to take their fair share of responsibility, because it's our responsibility and why we're here in the matrix. And in the end, all we could do is really like reflect out a constructive solution, so that constructive solution could kind of be the interweaving quote unquote blanket web, end quote, for us to actually ground, and particularly harmonically ground that in to the reality for any of these prophecies, proposals, or suggestions on how to even you know, make a solution a reality to begin with. You know what I'm saying? So this is the relationship with pure truth. And obviously, like, you know, I'll get a makeover in due time, because obviously, like, I like, you know, not everyone looks at the top of their game all the time. So this is the relationship with pure truth. I'm gonna obviously rewatch this video, because there's this one thing I said that I want to kind of like process even more. And yeah, it's just like seeing like you know how people are like, you know, they're naturally we're expecting stuff from each other naturally based on what we're signing up for, you know, kind of like one thing at a time kind of thing. Like, we signed up for this, could we follow up on what we signed on? Because I'm working on like professional dynamics for real on the global level. I'm working on like the professional like work environment for real, not just with all the casual, you know, arrangements, organizations, and jobs I had. I'm doing it for like a real global level. So this is the relationship with pure truth, transforming it perhaps to some type of constructive positivity for all, but it's a perhaps, because it's up to us to follow up on the pure truth, or for some weird ass individual subjective reason we could just shit on that pure truth for just whatever reason. Or even if we honor the pure truth, we could still arrange it and confuse it. And even if we don't shit on the pure truth, we could still honor it, but still kind of like fragment it and kind of have inaccurate things, because the pure truth, that is the foundation and the nourishment to everything. But if we're going away from the pure truth, then we're going to fall out on like how we could practice following up on some type of esoteric accountability. And what's esoteric accountability going to do? It's going to help your energy body not be a victim. It's going to heal your emotions in one sense, and your mind in one sense. And after it heals your mind and emotions, then your physical body could perhaps catch up, depending on the different karmas, obviously. So the pure truth, that actually helps you control your mind. So it's like, because obviously people could like, they could just be thinking whatever they're thinking, you know, someone said something to them, but like based on what someone said something to them, whatever someone said to someone else, that's because on a background level, we're all collectively like contributing to like what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. Like what's really like what are really like the just the general policies. Because if we don't uphold the general policies of things, then there's going to be holes in the general policies. And if there's holes in the general policies and we quote unquote don't give a F, end quote, then we're going to let that energy run rampant. And if you're energetically voting for that energy to run rampant, if you're energetically voting for that, like on an unconscious level, if you're voting energetically for that energy to run rampant, then like, do we really have a say if someone else is like kind of like who they are and they're distorted in their own way, when we're kind of like voting for like a system where we're just gonna let things fly that are inappropriate? So it's like, what are you voting for energetically? So the pure truth, it helps you like, but this is a practice. I'm not saying like you're gonna master it overnight. Like, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like within the pure truth, it will help you balance things, so you could actually attempt to control your mind, you know, control your thoughts, because people have like, they're like, you could feel it, you know, their thoughts are running rampant, you know, their mind is running rampant, you know, they're absent of a certain solution, example, or a presence or whatever, however you want to call it. But within that, it's like, how do you control that mind? It's the relationship with the pure truth, and you have to follow up on that pure truth, because once you have the pure truth, you can process things purely, and then after you're processing things purely, like the brain will have the energetic solution where it doesn't have to think about whatever it's thinking about, you know?